Welcome to the Field Engineer. Today we are speaking with our friends from ATEC. We've got Kris Kelly and Carmen Lee with us today. ATEC is one of our enterprise members and supports the community in a number of ways. Welcome, Kris. Welcome, Carmen. I thought, by way of introduction, maybe Carmen, I'll come to you. Could you give us a little bit of introduction about who you are and who ATEC are, and we'll get into it.
Hi, Charlie. So my name is Carmen Lee. I am the event coordinator here at Advanced Test Equipment Rentals, or ATEC for short. And we are a rental house for test equipment and measurement equipment here in the U.S. We're based in San Diego, California, and a lot of our gear is like, oh, there goes my camera. A lot of our gear is centered towards regulatory compliance, and our whole thing is like renting equipment out to the people who need it out on the field or need like an emergency replacement, calibration services, and whatnot.
Right. Perfect. And Kris, if you'd like to introduce yourself, give us an idea of who you are and what you do.
You bet. Thanks, Charlie. I'm Kris Kelly, Advanced Test Equipment. I perform business development here for one of the, we're divided into teams. So I'm heading up the green team, which is all environmental and mechanical testing, things like that. And as Carmen was saying, we try to support field engineers with equipment that they may not need all the time, but they may need it for a specific test that they have, or maybe there's a project they get assigned to last minute and there wasn't enough test equipment, things like that. That's where I think we can add value, is to help support them in the lurch with unique test equipment, which they might only need for a little while.
Perfect. So obviously, a lot of our members will be very familiar with going into the field, going to customers, going on site, taking their test equipment. So you provide that service where maybe it's something that's a one-off, maybe it's something that a company doesn't need to invest in and do a full-on purchase, and then you can supply that. Can I ask, do you work across a number of different industries? Do you focus on any particular individual?
I was just pulling up a map. We work across myriad of industries. This company, what I worked for ATEC previously back 93 to 96, and it was more of a narrow focus. It was more of the defense side and a lot of EMC testing equipment and more advanced recording to go with that. And then they've just expanded over time, where now they cover all sides of automotive, whether it's gasoline powered or electric vehicles, the railroad industry, aerospace, space industry itself, telecommunications, shipbuilding. It's pretty much across the board, because
Wow.
we've expanded as testing needs have evolved to make sure we can meet people really where they are.
Perfect. And what would you say is some of the benefits of renting versus buying test equipment? Why would a business approach you and say, hey, you know what, can you help us out? We'd like to, engage your services.
Sure. What we've seen, especially over the last 12 months with tariffs kind of doing a lot of damage to supply lines, is buying test equipment with really lengthy lead times. Some of the MC amplifiers, we have people want to buy some of it new. We do have our own advanced amplifier line, and the lead times are 10, 12 months.
Right.
And then if you want to buy a new chamber, if you want to buy a variety of helium leak detectors, things that are kind of unique, their lead times are 8, 12 months, sometimes longer. So for example, I had a gentleman call me, I think he was in Pennsylvania, and had gotten in his truck and was making visits to all their customers state by state. And he said by the time he got out to about Wyoming, I could swear that's where he was, he had forgotten some flow testing equipment, and it's kind of unique. It's not like he can just go down to the corner store and pick it up. So he didn't want to have to tell his boss that he
Right.
left this expensive equipment back in Pennsylvania. So we just shipped it to his site. He got there, got the job done. Customer was happy, and he went back, and his boss never found out. I'm sure he found out when he saw the bill, but I just thought it was kind
Right.
of funny how something as benign we've all done. You head off on a trip and you forgot what you needed the most, sitting in the kitchen counter, or it's somewhere else except with you. So we like to be able to support engineers, and that issue comes up more often than you like to imagine. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on the managing side of that situation where I've had people fly out. They've often they would drive, so they thought, I'm flying, I'm going to travel light. Of course, when they get to a customer, it's the one thing they need. And in that situation, they would have loved that the service you provide, because that's additional cost. That's a repeat visit, and that's a repeat flight, and wasted time. Unhappy customer, all those things. So I think I can definitely understand the market. Can I just move on and just maybe look at the relationship with the field engineer? You've been supporters of the community for some time. How did you get into that? I guess that Tim approached you, or maybe not. Maybe it's the other way around. But I'm curious, how that started.
I'll let Carmen go into more of the background stuff in a minute, but I saw an article either posted by Carolyn or somebody on LinkedIn about a year and a half ago, and I was like, what is this field engineer? And I started researching. I was like, oh my gosh, that would be huge for us to be able to support a group of engineers that are literally around the world. And I found out from Carolyn when I reached out that there's a lot of members right here in the US. So she had me reach out to Tim and see about getting that membership. And that's literally where it just went crazy, was us being able to be, partners for TFE and be able to support your engineers in a big way. And I'll let Carmen explain how we're doing that.
Go ahead, Carmen.
So at least when Kris told me about the field engineer, I was interested in seeing like what the demographic was like. And we see that you guys have like engineers from across all fields. You got mechanical engineers, field technicians, people who are working in utility, doing on-site maintenance and so on. So the line of thought that I was thinking at least was that we could work with the field engineer to introduce ATEC, because some of the equipment that all these engineers use, as Kris previously said before, capital expenditure is it's crazy. It's a long, lengthy process of going past like red tape, going through multiple decision makers to be like, hey, we need this thing. We need it as soon as possible. But you can't sit around waiting like 10 years. This stuff is not like readily available on like shopping shelves. So we're thinking that like we want to support the field engineer and the people like who are a part of it with rental equipment. Because the thing is that not a lot of people know that renting test equipment is an actual viable service. If you just need something for like the one-time job, here you go. If you're looking to kind of like get into like a test before you buy kind of situation, here you go. It's a way to kind of support like their business ventures, or to kind of like reduce the cost they need in a like more streamlined or like efficient way. I hope that was clear.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. That's perfect. And I think, I would say that of the teams that I've managed, it was always assumed that an engineer needs test equipment. You buy it, and the cost of that can rack up, and it depends on the industry. Some of that test equipment might be in-house built and very specialized, but a lot of it obviously is going to be off the shelf. As you say, the capital expenditure on that can be significant. It's really eye-opening to me to listen and hear about this service. I know that you are based in the US and you serve the US. I'm curious if there's any plans to expand into Europe and the rest of the world, but maybe that's not a conversation for now, but maybe something to ponder. If you're looking for European representation, then let me know. Okay, so I think thinking about our members, a lot of them can relate to these kind of issues of not having things to hand, or the expense of it. How does someone go about getting in touch and getting involved and starting a process with you? Is it a case of reaching out and get the ball rolling? How do you develop your markets and access to these field engineers and teams?
Well, initially, what we wanted to do, like on the field engineer site, you have that section called enterprise paid groups. So we had agreed to sign up with that to be a partner. We worked that out with Tim. So you can see, if you go to the enterprise page group section on your site, you'll see advanced test equipment rentals. You click on that, and then it takes you into our portal, where we have, and we're going to start posting more and more informational blog articles about just the variety of testing that people do. For example, understanding wind turbine maintenance. We do put out a lot of blog articles that relate to a variety of different testing. And then we dig in even further by going down into how-tos. Like here's a how-to video for doing a fluke air check Wi-Fi tester. And then there's another one for a cable fault leak locator.
Mhm.
What we're trying to do is keep up with what the field engineers would be using the most, or maybe there's something exotic that they're going to use once a quarter. They don't quite understand how to use it. That's the information we want to put out there for your field engineers, so they keep going to your site because they don't need to go anywhere else. Everything they need is right
Right.
there. How to do it, how to find work, the equipment that is available, and where to find it if it's not available in the short term.
Mhm. Perfect. Yeah. So again, just thinking back, the stories. I'm sure you've come across lots of those stories where engineers have needed the service. Have you got any good or favorite stories to share with the group?
Oh, there's a lot of fun stories. So we've actually gotten like a wide range of not just like emergency rentals, but we get a lot of fun one for like different activities too. Like it's not just the test labs and engineers that are renting from us. We've actually gotten like requests for high-speed cameras from music producers actually. S- And it's crazy too because like I remember that day one of our agents was like, "Hey, we got an interesting RFQ from someone who's trying to record a music video with a high-speed camera, and we're just like, oh my God, you should totally rent it out to this guy." And then I do remember one recent story where there was like a couple guys, I don't remember who this company is or what their exact job title was, but they needed some equipment sent out to an oil rig out in the middle of the ocean. And they were like calling our lines repeatedly saying, "Hey, we really need this now. We really need this now." And we got it out same day. They helicoptered it over overnight, and that was a whole thing. They called us maybe like 2, 3 days later and said, "Thank you so much for sending this thing. You pretty much saved my job, and you saved me maybe like a month's worth of time trying to get this thing out there."
Wow, that's pretty cool. Excellent. Excellent. So yeah. Sorry, I slightly lost my train of thought. Yeah, I have a similar story of a defibrillator being dropped out of a helicopter
Oh, wow.
and it coming back, and we're like, yeah, it doesn't work, and we're like, so what happened to this thing? And finding out someone had dropped it out of the air ambulance, and yeah. Anyway, that's
Wow.
another story. Excellent. So, in terms of the field engineers and the users, so Kris, you've already mentioned there's already resources on the enterprise pages through the field engineer. There's going to be more on that. We're exploring what we do with the channel, so we're actively encouraging people. Let us know, give us feedback. Let us know what they want to hear and what they want to see. So I think there's plenty more to come. I know there are going to be some trade shows coming up, and maybe we'll talk again in preparation for those. But I guess any final thoughts from you, Kris, from you, Carmen? Kris, go ahead.
Real quick, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. At the very bottom of every page on the site is the ATEC portal. If you just scroll to the very bottom of the page, right, I'm doing that now on this page, and then you'll see it says support the field engineer community by using our test equipment hire partner. And you'll see our logo right in the center. Just click on it and it takes you right to our site, and you can order any equipment that you need. You can pay for it right there online with your credit card. I mean, you could have it shipped out today if you want it. So we try to make this as accessible and as easy as possible for all of you engineers that are out on the road.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a really good, and the more people who know about this option, I think the better. As I've mentioned, it would have saved me a lot of time and hassle had I known about it in my previous lives. Carmen, any final thoughts from you to add?
The one thing that I do want to add is just that advanced test equipment rentals are aside from the business side, we also want to support like not just engineers, but young engineers, new talents. We're always on the lookout for like new knowledge, and we also want to be like a good source for that knowledge. So that's why we're always uploading how-to videos. So
Right.
It's not just like if you need rentals, but if you need information on how to handle equipment, how to troubleshoot it, how to get it going, or how to conduct certain tests, you can also come to us or check out our YouTube channel to see like how to use certain types of equipment too. And these equipment also includes things that electricians, utility workers typically use, like PV analyzers, resistance testers, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sorry,
Go
we're
for it.
also in the works of sorry, we're also in the works of launching a new program. It's not quite out there yet. It's ATEC Academy, where we host like workshops, lectures, and how-to sessions here at the ATEC building. So, you can kind of come in, sign up, and we're thinking about opening up to certification training as well. So that's an interesting resource that I think that the engineers of the field engineers would be interested in.
Perfect, excellent. That sounds like something to look out for the future. So I'm sure the members will be keeping an eye out on that. I'm sure we will have some more conversations. And thank you both very much for your time. It's been really interested. To our members out there, if you do want to get involved, please do go onto the enterprise pages, have a look at the links, click on the links. If you have any comments or if you want to have any more information, please do leave some comments in the sections, whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube. We would love to hear from you. That is going to be all for me for now. Kris, Carmen, thank you once again, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.